Glock 22 rapid fire, 30 yards, take one. Two.
So you want to become a better shooter, but you don't have much time or money to invest. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a really good idea on what is, in my opinion, the best way to train and just become a better all-around shooter with the cheapest time and money investment that I could possibly think of. I personally have benefited greatly from this training tip and haven't stopped since the first time I did it. So let's go ahead and get into it right after we give a special shout out to the channel sponsors. I want to take this time to give a big shout out to one of our largest channel sponsors, and that is Slate Black Industries. They have solutions for all of your M-LOK accessory needs, and we have a discount code. Use Clayco to get 10% off your entire purchase. A special thank you should be dropped down in the comments to Henry over at Slate Black Industries for hooking you guys up with this discount code and helping out the channel as a sponsor. So let's assume you're at a time in your life where you've got your gun set up the way you want it. Maybe you've got some gear. You're comfortable enough handling your gun. You know how to load your mags. You're not like beginner level, but you want to take it to the next level. You want to become the best shooter that you can be. Maybe you don't have all the time in the world to go to the range every other weekend or every weekend. I know if I'm not at the range like every weekend, I feel like I'm getting rusty and dusty quick. Shooting, in my opinion, is a skill that if you don't use it, you lose it. But I know not everyone has the same opportunities that we have to just be at the range constantly. So time might be an issue. You got a job, you got kids, you might be in college, whatever. It's difficult. Maybe you can only go to the range like a day every month. Think about it. That's only 12 times a year you're going to go shoot. What can you really get done? How good can you possibly get, or how much can you push yourself with such little range time? But understand, not everyone has all that time. Let's say you do have the time. Where's the location? What range do you go to that allows anything more than sitting at a bench shooting a piece of paper to zero your gun? Maybe you go to an indoor range and you can shoot your pistol kind of fast. They're certainly not going to let you do any kind of moving and shooting. They're not going to let you add stress. You can't bring a timer in there with you. It's a difficult situation outside of just basically zeroing and function checking guns. Training, not so much. Lastly, you're balling on a budget. You spent your whole wad on the gun and the ammo. I mean, that is as expensive as it has ever been right now. So you maybe feel like you can't afford to do all this training or whatever it is that you feel like you need to do to get better. A lot of you feel like, oh, I should be taking classes. That'll do it. A class will really get me to the next level. Classes are awesome. You can take classes for just about anything: defensive shooting, medical stuff, first aid, concealed protection, just any, you name it, there's a class for it, right? My point is, that stuff's expensive. Classes today range anywhere from like $250 for maybe an entry-level class that at least is worth its salt, up to classes pushing beyond $1,000, a full weekend of your time, 500 to 1,000 rounds of ammo minimum to take these classes. The financial commitment is pretty big. And I know a lot of you just don't have that, but you still have the passion to want to be better. I have something that will cut through all of that. It's the cheapest, less time consuming, and it's just the best training tool I know of, so let's just get to it. Competitions. I know, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that we're constantly preaching competition, competition, competition. Anytime we do gun reviews, we're usually shooting it at a range, and then we go shoot it at a competition to really see if the gun's worth the shit or not. So I want to give you a few pointers on why I think it is the absolute best training tool if you're on a budget and you don't have a whole lot of time. Even if you took the budget and time aspect out of it, it has been the single best training tool for me in my life. And you know, I have the time, and I can scrape together a little cheddar to go out and shoot from time to time, but still, shooting matches has made me the shooter I am today. Before I tell you why, I should probably tell you how. People are always asking how you get into this kind of thing. Number one, you need to go to a website called practiscore.com. I'll put that on the screen right here. I'll even put a link to it down in the description below. PractiScore is basically a scoring system for anyone that wants to build a match. You basically build the match in PractiScore, and when you shoot the match, they use the website to score you. Furthermore, you use the website to check your scores, to find local matches, to find out when and where they're happening, the rules of those matches. So basically, when you make an account on there, it's going to use your zip code and give you just this big map, and you can pick the radius of the map. It's kind of like Craigslist for shooting matches is a good way to explain it. It shows you, okay, within a 100-yard radius, within a 100-mile radius, there's all these matches going on at these gun ranges. Here's the time, here's the price of admission, here's the divisions and the guns that are allowed and what you might need for the match. It is literally a roadmap and a calendar for competitions. And you can look countrywide if you don't mind traveling. There's literally a match happening every day of the week, certainly hundreds of happening every weekend all over the country, most likely also near you. So why is a match good for making you a better shooter? Well, if you think about it, let's think about time investment first. So basically a match is going to be a day of your time. You're going to drive there, gear up, shoot the match, gear down, drive home. This can all be done in a day. Typically, you can find a match within 1 hour to 3 hours from you. Sometimes you get lucky and it is less than an hour away. I don't know of many other things you could do in a day that will give you this amount of training and will just kick you in the ass and show you everything you suck at, show you a few things that you're good at, all in a day. Remember what I said earlier, if you could barely find the time to go just to a normal range and shoot alone a day out of the month, it's difficult to find purpose. You're certainly not going to be inducing real stress, and there's like no rules. There's no one there telling you, all right, here's how you're going to shoot now. Okay, now you got to do this with a reload. You got 30 rounds. Now you got to do this. You're literally just kind of going on the fly and figuring it out for yourself. Okay, I'm at the range. Now what do I do? The match does all that for you. You have range officers there. You have rules. You have a course of fire that you have to follow, so you have a real purpose. You're shooting to achieve a goal. So typically at a match there's different divisions depending on how you've kitted out your gun or yourself. You can pick which division best suits the way that you showed up that day. And you're only going to be competing against other people that are kind of running a similar setup. So it's not like you versus the world. It's you versus everyone else that's kind of set up like you. Let's talk about price of admission for some of these matches. Take the monthly match that I like to shoot, Texas Kalashnikov. You see it in a lot of our videos. It's $35. $35 to enter. It's 4 stages. Round count typically hovers around 100 rounds, depending on how they decide to set it up. The round count always changes, but typically a small match like that, 20 to 35 bucks, maybe 40 at the most. So a very cheap thing to do that day, and not a whole lot of rounds. So now you're there. It's a day of your time. You are less than $100 in. Even with the cost of your ammo, even today, you're still less than 100 bucks in. Now what? Okay, now you have to follow rules, shoot stages, compete against other people that are watching you shoot. They're watching you screw up, or they're watching you pull off major wins, getting hits. So what that causes is stress. And that's my next point. Real, actual stress. I don't care what you do alone at a range trying to train. There's no way you're going to induce real stress to see what your body would do if you get the jitters, if you're nervous, if you're worried about doing something within a certain time. You don't want to look like a goober in front of all your friends that are there watching you shoot. If you're alone, difficult to induce real stress. A match does that literally every single time. You are timed, you are scored for accuracy, You have rules to follow. If you break any of those rules, and I don't mean like rules, I mean like hop on one leg when you shoot this target. It's like there's little gotchas from time to time that make you think while you're shooting. It's kind of a cerebral thing. That induces stress. You got a group of people that are watching you shoot. You don't want to screw up. And if you're competitive at all, you want to do well. You know when that timer goes off, you have literally one chance. There are no redos at a competition. Knowing that you have one chance to shoot this stage that you've read the rules on, you've maybe watched some other people how they chose to run the stage and taken some pointers. Now it's your turn. You've stepped up, your heart starts to beat a little bit faster, you start to kind of get the jitters, and then beep, you have to go. And you get that one chance. You have to move, shoot, be accurate, and when you're done, you have to be really sure that you shot everything before you tell the RO, okay, done. Timer stops, and then they score you. I don't care who you are. That will make you act a certain kind of way and induce real stress. So now, that also for a training tool, that shows you, man, like I've never looked like a total bonehead like that when I shot before. That's because you never shot with stress. You shot at a range alone in a very controlled environment with do-overs. You missed the target. Oh, I'll just hit it on my next shot. At a match, if you miss the target, you don't find out until afterwards when they go check the piece of paper you were shooting at. And then you're like, damn, I really got to slow down. Maybe my gun has a little too much recoil. Maybe I'll put a brake on it next time I come out here. Maybe I'll put a slightly better trigger. Maybe it's just me and I need to slow down and take my shots and make sure I hit what I'm aiming at. Maybe your zero was screwed up and it shows you, wow, I really need to take more time zeroing my gun. Maybe I thought my gun was zeroed. When I came here and had to actually shoot with purpose, couldn't hit a damn thing. So that alone in and of itself brings me to my next point. So we've covered stress, that's real stress. My next point is a competition will show you everything wrong with you, everything wrong with your gun and your gear. What do I mean by that? We talked about earlier that competitions will usually have rules that you need to follow. Okay, on the beeper, hit every paper target twice. Hit every tan piece of paper twice. Avoid the white pieces of paper. Those are no-shoots. Those are hostages. And hit the bottled water after your first reload. Like, whatever it is, they'll always add some kind of cerebral stuff that you have to remember. So, as a training tool, that will show you, we'll talk about the guns and gear in a second. Let's talk about you first. That shows you what you're bad at. Maybe I'm bad at remembering stuff. Maybe I turn into a total klutz when I'm moving and shooting. Maybe I've never really done a lot of moving and shooting. I just had to do it under a timer and I suck at it. I don't heel toe very well. I stop and take shots instead of constantly moving. Oh, my reloads sucked. Like when I was stressed out, I'm so bad at reloads. And, you know, it just really shows you what maybe you should, you know, try to practice and be a little bit better at, or at least to get out of your own head. Then we get on to the gun. Maybe you thought your gun was the baddest freaking AK or the baddest AR that anyone's ever set up. You've got your red Strike Industries foregrip and your red T-handle and your gun's looking fly, right? Then you go to the match and your gun shits the bed because of all the cool parts you put on it, or maybe it weighs 10 pounds because you felt like you needed to bolt every single thing on every square inch of Picatinny that you had available. So you did. You went out there and it was a boat anchor, and you see other people with bare bones ARs running circles around you because they just know how to shoot them. They didn't need all that extra stuff. So now you learned, oh, okay, this really showed me what is like hokey bullshit that people just try to sell because it looks cool on your gun. And it shows me, oh, this is stuff that actually works and works well when I need it to. I promise you, everyone does this. After their first match, they go home, they pull half the crap off their gun, and they start over, come back, and do twice as good the next time with less bullshit on their gun. So it's good for showing you like what you really need on your gun. And it's a good way to prove if optics are worth the shit or not. Next is your gear. A match may have a lot of reloads. It's going to have a lot of movement, okay? I want to show you a little clip from the very first match I ever shot. I'm wearing steel toe work boots. I'm wearing some BS Condor chest rig with very low mag retention, and I just didn't really know what I was doing. Mags are literally falling out of my chest rig. I can't move very well because my shoes weigh like 5 pounds a piece because I didn't buy proper shoes. And it just wasn't the greatest experience. And it really showed me after that match, wow, okay, I'm going to buy better gear. Hell, I'm going to use pockets next time. I'll use my freaking pants pocket before I use all this crappy gear. You'll only wear bad gear to a match one time. One time. You'll only be embarrassed with your mags falling out of your chest one time before you realize, okay, I get it. I don't need to look like a friggin' commando just to come out and shoot a match. Like, I need to find something that actually works for me. Then maybe I can bump up to some plate carriers or chest rigs once I know how to buy them properly and how to use them properly. So it will test you, your gun, and your gear, all three of those, how everything's set up. Your brain, your gun, and your gear. And I'm telling you, once you go bomb your first match, a light bulb will go off. You'll go home, you'll fix it, and you will count the days until the next time you can go back to that match and try again. And you will 100% do 10 times better. So these competitions, they really promote real world accuracy. I don't care if you can hit a steel target laying down on a bench, on iron sights, nonstop, hit after hit, bing, bing, bing. I don't care how many forums you've argued with people about MOA. Well, my AK's 1 MOA. Well, my AR is half MOA, sub MOA. Doesn't matter. Take the most accurate gun you own, literally, in a vise that is hitting the same hole at 100 yards. Take that accurate gun, go shoot a match. Some dude with a sloppy ass AK with tangent iron sights that knows how to move and shoot and knows his holdovers will walk circles around you, because real world accuracy, a 10 MOA gun can go win a match depending on how the stages are set up. It's real world accuracy. You're going to be moving and shooting. You might not always have something to support against, so what does it matter if your gun is sub MOA? It really doesn't matter. And a match really showed me that, to not get so stuck on how freakishly accurate can I make my gun. It honestly doesn't matter. It just has to be accurate enough, and a match will definitely show you that. Movement. Always be moving and shooting. You will realize at a competition, the more you stop and shoot, move, stop and shoot, the slower you'll be. Eventually you'll start to learn, wow, if I'm constantly moving and shooting, even if I'm slowing down to a crawl and taking shots, overall, I'm going to be taking seconds off my time and come closer and closer to the tippy top of the scoreboard. Anyone can sit here and say, I'm not a very competitive person, I'm just here to learn. Just wait. Go to a match and suck. And you'll be like, that is never going to be me again. I'm going to do better. Go to a match and do well. Talk about the greatest feeling in the world when you go to a match and you come in the top 10. Even when you come in the top 25%, if there's like 50 people that show up, when you score high, it's one of the best feelings that you could ever get with shooting guns. It means you did everything right. Everything from planning, the way your gear was set up, actually pulling the trigger, hitting targets, everything in between. You did everything good enough to score high, and that is a real black and white, that's proof in black and white that you're getting better and you finally got good. And that brings me to my last point, man. It builds confidence. You're going to be confident in a setting where you're going to be shooting around people that may watch you screw up. You're used to it. Maybe I'll bomb, but I do this enough. I'm okay shooting in an uncomfortable setting. With the pressure and the timer and the people watching, you will get very comfortable in that setting, and then nothing will trip you up. And I'm not saying this totally bleeds over to there's a bump in the night, there's a guy in your house, but it's something. And remember, the whole point of this video was cheap, not a whole lot of time invested, and best bang for your buck, honestly. That one time you shot that match, even if it's your first time and you only do one match every 3 months, that one match will make you fix so much stuff that was wrong with you and your gun, and get you used to what your body does under real stress with a gun in your hand. And it's the best training tool that I know of. Even if you learn that you're just not good the first time, that's a better position than you were at the day before when you honestly didn't know what you didn't know yet. You might have been a little overconfident, and it will absolutely humble you. Get past the first humbling match. We all have our first match. We're all bad. I just showed you me looking like a total friggin' jabroni at my first match. I was humbled. I went home that day and I bought proper G-code mag holsters, a proper belt. I took all the bullshit off my gun and just went to the bare bones, an AK with a red dot, and I started shooting match after match, month after month, until I felt like I got good. Then I went back and started putting some of that stuff on, and you know, I grew and became a better shooter, all because I was paying 20 bucks a month shooting these little local matches. And that's the short stick of it. I've taken classes, I've learned a lot from classes, but it was a very expensive, time-consuming thing. So that's really all I have for you guys. I am the last person you should take like defensive shooting tips from. I have no military experience, no law enforcement experience, but what I do know is I shoot guns a lot and I shoot these competitions a lot. And, you know, I feel like I could handle myself in a situation if I had to use a gun. I'm used to being stressed with a pounding heart and a really high increased heart rate and shooting. Who knows what I would do if there was a bump in the night? But a competition is honestly a start. And eventually, if you get a little money saved up, go take a class. Absolutely, you should. But if you got 20 bucks, a couple of mags and a gun, you got everything you need to go shoot a competition and start somewhere. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you. I hope this video wasn't too long, but I'm really passionate about this subject because I honestly, firmly believe it's a great way to become a better shooter. It's a great way to meet people. At these competitions, you're going to meet so many other people. You're never going to be the only person at a match that's there for the first time. Every match I've ever went to for the past 6 years, every single match has had a group of first-timers. There's always first-timers. So, you know, they're sucking it up and, you know, swallowing their pride, and they're showing up just like you. So if you show up to one, give yourself a pat on the back and get ready to suck. And then after that, you know, fix it and come back and get ready to win. Happens to everyone, man. I've seen so many people come out super shy, super timid. I've seen a lot of guys bring in their wives and girlfriends, and their girlfriends just sit in that chair and they just watch. And eventually, the girl starts to compete, and she gets good, and she gets super comfortable around guns, and they become a stronger couple because of it. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about this stuff, how to get into competitions, check out PracticeScore.com. I'll also link a video down below of some things I feel like you should bring to a competition, basic stuff, just to make your life easier while you're there. That'll all be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.